What if I told you that one simple drink, taken daily, could support your muscles, your brain, your blood sugar, and even your independence after 60? Not a trendy supplement, not an expensive treatment, just one strategic daily habit. Because here's the truth, aging doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, subtly. Each year, there's a little more inflammation, a little less muscle. Blood sugar becomes slightly harder to control. Recovery takes longer. Names don't come quite as quickly as they used to. At first, these changes seem small, but over time, they determine something much bigger. How steady you feel walking upstairs, how sharp you stay in conversation, how long you can confidently live on your own. And this is where most people over 60 are misled. They assume decline is automatic, inevitable, just part of getting older. But here's what's exciting. Your body still responds to the right signals even in your 70s and 80s. Muscle can still be stimulated, brain pathways can still be supported, blood sugar can still become more stable. The key is sending the right signal every single day. In this video, I'm going to break down one carefully designed drink that targets 3 of the most powerful drivers of aging. And by the time we reach number 1, you'll understand why this drink works on one of the most important longevity pathways in the human body. But before I show you the drink, you need to understand what's really happening inside the body after 60 before we go any further. Let me be clear about something. I don't believe in miracle cures. I don't believe in exaggerated promises. And I certainly don't believe that aging adults should be sold trendy powders or anti-aging secrets without real evidence behind them. What I do believe in is physiology. We have decades of research on aging, on sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss, on chronic low-grade inflammation, on insulin resistance, and metabolic slowdown. These are not theories. They are measurable biological processes that begin accelerating after 50 and become more pronounced after 60. But here's the part that often gets overlooked. The same body that experiences these changes also retains the ability to respond. Muscle tissue still responds to protein stimulation. Metabolism still improves with the right signals. Inflammatory markers can still be reduced through targeted nutritional compounds. The key is using interventions that are evidence-based, physiologically sound, and realistic to maintain consistently. That's exactly what this drink is built around. If you're watching this at 65, 72, or even 85, your body is not finished. It is adaptive, it is responsive, and it is still capable of meaningful improvement when given the right inputs. Now let's talk about why this becomes so important after 60. So what exactly changes after 60 that makes this drink so powerful? After 60, 3 silent processes begin to accelerate in the background. They don't make headlines, they don't cause sudden symptoms, but over time, they shape how you feel, how you move, and how independently you live. The first is chronic low-grade inflammation. This isn't the kind of inflammation you feel when you sprain your ankle. It's subtle, persistent, quiet. Over time, it can irritate blood vessels, stiffen joints, and strain the cardiovascular system. It's one of the core drivers behind heart disease, arthritis discomfort, and even cognitive decline. The second is sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. Beginning in your 50s and accelerating after 60, you can lose 1–2% of muscle mass per year if nothing is done to stimulate it. And muscle isn't just about strength. It stabilizes your blood sugar, it protects your balance, it determines how easily you rise from a chair or climb stairs. The third is insulin resistance. As cells become less responsive to insulin, blood sugar remains elevated longer after meals. Those repeated spikes can damage nerves, blood vessels, and even delicate brain tissue over time. Now here's what most people over 60 don't realize. These 3 processes feed each other. Inflammation worsens insulin resistance. Insulin resistance accelerates muscle loss. Muscle loss slows metabolism, which increases inflammation. It becomes a cycle. And if you don't interrupt this cycle early, it compounds every single year. But here's where it gets interesting. One carefully designed drink can target all 3. So what is this drink? I call it a morning longevity blend. And it's not random. Every ingredient serves a specific biological purpose. No artificial sweeteners, no sugary juices, no exotic powders that cost a fortune. This combination was chosen because it targets the 3 major accelerators of aging we just discussed. It sends a coordinated metabolic signal first thing in the morning when your body is most responsive. And here's how we'll break it down. Number 3, how this blend stabilizes blood sugar and reduces inflammatory spikes. Number 2, how it supports muscle preservation and metabolic strength. And number 1, how it activates one of the body's most important cellular longevity pathways. By the time we reach number 1, you'll understand why this simple drink is far more powerful than it appears. Let's start with what happens to your blood sugar, mechanism #3. Let's begin with blood sugar, because after 60, this becomes one of the most important drivers of long-term health. When you wake up in the morning, your body is metabolically sensitive. What you consume in that first meal sends a powerful signal that shapes your blood sugar response for the rest of the day. Now, here's the problem. Most people reach for toast, cereal, pastries, or even fruit juice in the morning. On the surface, that seems harmless, but those foods digest quickly, causing blood sugar to rise sharply. When blood sugar spikes, insulin surges. And when that cycle repeats day after day, it contributes to inflammation and gradual artery damage. The chain reaction looks like this. Blood sugar spikes, root insulin surges, oxidative stress increases, inflammation rises, blood vessels become strained. Over time, this affects the heart, the brain, and even the kidneys. Now, let's look at what this drink does differently. Protein slows the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream, preventing sharp spikes. Cinnamon has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells respond more efficiently to insulin. Green tea polyphenols, particularly EGCG, reduce oxidative stress and support vascular health. Turmeric, through its active compound curcumin, helps lower inflammatory markers in the body. Instead of triggering a spike and crash cycle, this blend creates a stable metabolic curve. And here's the powerful part. By simply changing your morning signal, you change your entire metabolic rhythm for the day. In real life, that means more stable energy, fewer afternoon crashes, reduced cravings for sugar, and less strain on your cardiovascular system. But blood sugar is only part of the story. Mechanism #2. Now let's talk about muscle, because after 60, muscle becomes your metabolic currency. Most adults don't realize that beginning in their 50s and accelerating after 60, they can lose 1–2% of muscle mass per year if they don't actively stimulate it. This process is called sarcopenia, and it doesn't just affect how you look, it affects how long you remain strong, mobile, and independent. Here's the deeper truth. What most seniors don't realize is that muscle is not just about strength, it's about survival. Muscle tissue helps regulate blood sugar. It supports balance and coordination. It protects against falls. It even contributes to hormone regulation and metabolic rate. The more muscle you preserve, the more resilient your entire system becomes. This is where the protein in this drink plays a critical role. A high-quality protein source, especially one rich in leucine, stimulates muscle protein synthesis, the biological process that repairs and builds muscle fibers. And after 60, your body requires a slightly stronger signal to trigger that response. A protein-rich morning drink provides exactly that. Meanwhile, green tea supports fat oxidation, helping your body use stored fat more efficiently for energy. Turmeric may reduce muscle soreness and inflammatory stress, improving recovery, especially when combined with light resistance exercise. The result isn't bodybuilding, it's steadiness. Strength, capability. In real life, that means climbing stairs with more confidence, rising from a chair without struggle, walking with better balance, maintaining your independence longer, and when you feel physically capable, your confidence rises with it. But now we come to the most powerful effect of all, mechanism #1. Now we come to the most powerful effect of all, what this drink may be doing for your brain and your long-term cellular health. Many people believe cognitive decline is simply inevitable with age, that once you pass 70, memory loss and mental slowing are unavoidable. But biology says otherwise. Let's start with curcumin, the active compound in turmeric. Research suggests curcumin may help support levels of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as a type of fertilizer for your brain cells. It supports the growth, repair, and protection of neurons. Lower levels of BDNF have been associated with cognitive decline and mood disorders. Supporting it becomes increasingly important as we age. Next is green tea, particularly its polyphenols like EGCG. These compounds have been shown to activate something called the AMPK pathway. Now let me simplify that. AMPK is often described as a cellular energy switch. When activated, it tells your cells to become more efficient, improving energy use, supporting repair processes, and even influencing longevity-related mechanisms. It's one of the same pathways stimulated by exercise and caloric moderation. In other words, this isn't just about energy, it's about how your cells manage aging itself. Protein also plays a quiet but important role here. Adequate amino acids are required to produce neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers responsible for focus, motivation, and emotional balance. And here's the part many people overlook. If you ignore brain health signals in your 60s, you often feel it in your 70s, but the reverse is also true. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and form new connections, still exists even in advanced age. The brain remains responsive to the right nutritional and metabolic signals. In real life, this can translate into clearer thinking, more stable mood, better concentration, greater mental stamina, not perfection, not turning back the clock 30 years, but meaningful preservation. Let me share what this looked like for someone just like you. Let me tell you about Robert. Robert is 68 years old. When he first reached out, his main concerns were low morning energy, borderline high blood sugar, and a noticeable decline in strength. He wasn't sedentary, but he wasn't intentionally supporting his muscle or metabolic health either. Breakfast was usually toast and coffee. After learning about this morning longevity blend, he decided to make a simple change. Each morning, he replaced his usual breakfast with the protein, green tea, turmeric, and cinnamon drink. Nothing extreme, no drastic dieting, just that one shift. He also added light resistance exercise 3 times per week, basic body weight movements, and resistance bands. 3 months later, his follow-up labs showed improved fasting glucose, his grip strength had increased, he reported steadier energy throughout the day, and noticeably better focus when reading and doing crossword puzzles. Now let me be clear, this wasn't magic. It was consistency, it was synergy, nutrition plus stimulation, daily signals shaping long-term biology. And that's the key. Small actions, repeated consistently, create measurable change. So how exactly should you prepare it? Now let's make this practical. Here is the simple base recipe for the morning longevity blend. 1 cup unsweetened green tea or matcha, freshly brewed. 1 scoop high-quality protein, 20-30 grams, whey or clean plant-based. 1/2 teaspoon turmeric powder. A small pinch of black pepper. This enhances curcumin absorption significantly. 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon, optional but beneficial for blood sugar support. Brew the green tea first. Allow it to cool slightly so it's warm but not boiling. Extremely high heat can reduce some of the beneficial compounds and may affect protein texture. Place all ingredients into a blender and blend until smooth. Results should be creamy, lightly spiced, and easy to drink. Timing matters. Consume this in the morning, ideally as your first meal, or alongside a very light breakfast. Morning is when your metabolic system is especially responsive to signals that shape blood sugar and energy regulation for the rest of the day. For best results, pair it with light movement, such as a 10-minute walk or gentle resistance exercises. This amplifies the muscle and AMPK activation effects. Frequency. Aim for 5 to 6 days per week. Consistency matters more than perfection. Here's what most people notice. Week 1, more stable energy, fewer cravings. Week 3, 4, subtle strength and endurance improvement. Month 2 and beyond, potential improvements in metabolic markers, especially when combined with regular movement, small habits, repeated daily. That's how biology changes. Now, to make this even more powerful, if you want to amplify the effects of this drink, think in terms of synergy. First, take a 10-minute walk within 30 minutes of finishing it. Even light movement helps shuttle glucose into muscle cells and enhances insulin sensitivity. Second, include light resistance training 3 times per week. Resistance bands, bodyweight squats, wall push-ups, simple movements are enough to stimulate muscle protein synthesis when paired with adequate protein intake. Third, stay properly hydrated. Cellular metabolism depends on fluid balance, and even mild dehydration can blunt energy levels. And finally, consider having your vitamin D levels checked, especially if you live in a northern climate. Vitamin D plays a critical role in muscle and immune health. Remember, this is about stacking small, intelligent habits. You are someone who builds strength strategically. You are someone who supports your body proactively. Now, a quick but important note before adding this to your routine. A few important considerations. If you are taking blood thinners, speak with your healthcare provider first. Turmeric can have mild blood thinning properties and may not be appropriate in certain situations. If you are diabetic or on glucose-lowering medication, monitor your blood sugar carefully as you introduce this drink. Improved insulin sensitivity can sometimes require medication adjustments. Be mindful of protein allergies or sensitivities, particularly with whey. If needed, choose a high-quality plant-based alternative, and most importantly, start small. Try half a serving for the first few days and observe how your body responds. Natural does not mean careless. It means informed. It means intentional.
When used wisely, this blend can be a powerful tool, but your safety always comes first. And finally, let's talk about what this really means for you. Aging is not about decline. It's about adaptation. Your body is always listening to the signals you give it, and small daily signals like this simple morning drink can reshape long-term outcomes in powerful ways. You don't need extreme measures. You need consistency, intention, patience, because strength after 60 isn't accidental, it's built. If you're committed to aging with clarity, stability, and independence, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below with your age and where you're watching from. And tell me, what is your biggest health goal right now? Let's build a community of strong, proactive adults who refuse to age passively.